Welcome to Daftra. This is Maryam speaking, and in this video we are going to show you an overview about the Daftra software, starting from the basic startup steps that can be used for most industries, and we will also show you how you can use the different modules, starting from creating your invoices until generating your reports. So one of the first things that we would want to do when we first create our Daftra account is enter our business details. And you can do this by going to settings, then account settings. You can then enter your business name, your first and last name, and other business details in these fields. And you can also enter your VAT number in this field if you want. The logo can be uploaded from your device, and it's going to show up on here once you upload it. You can also select the date format that you would like to show on all of your invoices and other sales documents from here. The language can be chosen between Arabic and English. And another very important field is the use sell field, because it will determine what kind of items you can enter to your inventory. So if you are running a business that sells both products and services, you can choose both so that you will be able to add any of them when you are creating your inventory items. You can also change your email address and password from here. And once you are done, you can click on save.
So after you finish setting up your account settings, you can then set up your Daftra account to view only the modules or the applications that you are going to use. You can do this by going to settings, then apps manager. And in this menu, you will find all of the available applications that can be used on the Daftra software. And you can only activate the applications that you think you will need to use while using Daftra. So some businesses, for example, they don't need the finance module, so you can just deactivate it. And in this video, I have activated these modules: sales, point of sales, inventory management, finance and work orders, and clients. And we're going to talk about each one of them in more details. We are also going to talk about the KSA electronic invoice, which when you activate is going to set up your Daftra account to generate invoices that are compliant with the regulations of the Zatka authority, and it's also going to forbid deleting or editing the invoices according to the Zatka regulations.
So the last settings we are going to talk about is the tax settings, which you can go to by going to settings, then tax settings. So on this page, you can enter all of the taxes that you wish to use while creating your invoices and other sales documents. You can enter the tax name in this field, and you can click on add to add more taxes. So the name can be entered in either Arabic or English or both. And in this field, you can enter the tax value. And you can also set it up as exclusive or inclusive to the product's price. So let's say that this tax, for example, is 5%. And we have selected the tax as inclusive. So this means that if we sold a product to a client that costs 100 Saudi riyals, for example, and we have added the tax, an inclusive tax of 5%, then the total price that will show up to the client will be 100. The cost of the product will be 95, and the tax will be 5 Saudi riyals. But if you have selected it as exclusive, the total will be 105. So you can add all of your taxes and set them up from here, and once you are done, you can click on save. So now we are going to talk briefly about the clients module and how you can use it. So we are going to start by setting up our client settings by going to clients, then client settings. Then you can click on general. So on this page, you can choose the fields, the extra fields that you would like to show on to add to your client's profiles. It's not mandatory, but I just selected all so I can show you how it's going to look like. Another very important field in here is the client type, and this is very important in case you are dealing with clients who have a business registration number or a VAT number. You can, if you are dealing with business clients only, you can select business only, and the business clients are the ones who will have the option of adding a VAT number to their profile. However, the individual clients, they don't have this option. So you can select both in case you are dealing with both of them, or you can select any of them if you are dealing only with ones. So I will select both to show you how it's going to look like. And the last thing in this page is the client auto number. So this is just a client code for you on the system. The number is going to be sequential, and you can select the format of the number from this page. You can also select how it's going to look like. And you can set up a number of digits. You can also add a prefix if you want. And if you take the require unique box, this will prevent the system from adding more than one client with the same client number. Once you are done, you can click on Save. And now we are going to discuss the other parts of the client settings. So the other client settings that you can set up from this page is the client permissions. And from this option, you can either give your clients the permission or not to view their own client portal, so they can view their invoices and estimates and other sales documents that you create for them. And they can also pay it online if you have activated any online payment options. You can activate the payment options by going to Settings, then Payment Options. The client custom fields. This is in case you would like to add any extra fields to the client's profiles which are not already available in the system. So if you have an extra field that you would like to add to the client's profile, you can add it from this page. And you can select the type of field, like if you are running a vet service or something, you can enter a drop-down menu for the pet type. And you can add the options as cat or dog or whatever. And once you are done, you can click on Save. You can also edit the previous custom fields that you have added by clicking on the settings gear. So you can edit the details, the validation, the layout. And once you are done, you can click on Save. Then click Save to save all of the custom fields that you have added. So after you finish setting up your client settings, you can go to create a new client. When you are creating a new client, you can select the client type from here. As you can see, if you have selected individual, it will start by giving you the option of entering the full name, while if you select business, it will ask you for the business name first, and then you can enter the first and last name if you want. Also, if you select the client type as business, there will be an extra field for the VAT number. This field is not going to show if you have selected the client as individual. So you can enter all of your client's details like the telephone number, mobile number, etc. And you can also select the invoicing method for your client. You can also select the client's currency. So if you have selected a specific currency for a specific client, whenever you create an invoice for that client, the invoice currency is going to be changed automatically to the one that you have chosen in their profile. You can also enter the client's email. You can enter your client's categories, and whenever you enter one category, then click enter on your keyboard, it's going to be saved on the system, so you can select from it later when you are creating other clients. You can also add choose the display language for your client. If you have given, it will be useful in case you have given them the permission to access their online client portal. So also, if you have added any custom fields, they will show up on here, like in the client more information, and you can select the info or enter whatever details you want depending on the type of field. Once you are done, you can click on Save, and with that being done, the client's profile will be saved on your account. So this is one way of adding your clients to Daftra. Another way is importing your clients if you have their details saved in a CSV file. This will save you a lot of time in case you have many clients that you wish to add to your Daftra account without needing to enter them one by one. You can import your clients by going to Clients, then Manage Clients. Click on the Import button. Then you can choose the CSV file by clicking on this button in here, and I will also show you how it looks like. So I'm just going to add the file. Then select the delimiters. Just make sure that the delimiters correspond with the CSV file format. So if you have a CSV file saved in CSV comma delimitered format, you can choose the delimiters as comma separated. Then you can click on Next Step. And now I will show you how the CSV file looks like before we proceed with this step. So this is an example of how the CSV file looks like. As you can see, all of these columns, you don't have to stick to these columns, like you can add less or more. So these columns, all of them, they have corresponding fields in the client's creation page on Daftra. So if you you just need to make sure that all the fields that you add will have corresponding fields on your Daftra account. We are going to import one client only in this example. You can import as many clients as you want, as long as the number of clients you are importing doesn't exceed the number of clients supported by your plan. So now let's go back to the Daftra importing client page. Great. So in this page now we are just mapping the fields together. We are letting the system know which system fields refers to which column in our Excel sheet. Once you are done mapping the fields, you can click on Import, and in case you are updating your existing clients with new data, you can tick this box. Once you are done, you can click on Import. And as you can see, one client has been imported successfully, and it will show up in your clients page, and all of the data that you have entered will be added to their profile. So to import your clients, you can go to Clients, then Manage Clients, click on the Import button. Then you can choose the file, upload it from your device. Select your delimiters, and then click on Next Step. So I will just show you an example of how the CSV file looks like before we continue. So this is a basic CSV file that contains two clients' details. You can add more columns if you want, but just make sure that they have corresponding fields in the client's creation page. So if you go to add a new client on Daftra, you will find there is only like a limited number of fields. So just make sure that the column that you add in here has a corresponding field in the client creation page on Daftra. So you can enter the client's details in here. You can add as many clients as you want, as long as it doesn't exceed the number of clients that's supported by your plan. Now let's go back to the Daftra page. So in this page, you'll be able to map your fields with the corresponding fields and columns in the file. So this is just for you to map the fields and let the system know which fields refers to which fields. And once you are done, you can click on Import. So after you finish adding your clients, you can add your suppliers. And to do this, you can go to the Purchases module on your main menu. Click on Manage Suppliers. So adding suppliers is very similar to adding clients. You can either add them one by one by clicking on the New Supplier button, or you can import them from a CSV file, just like when we imported the client. We are just going to show you how it's going to look like when you create a new supplier profile. So you can enter their business name, their first and last name, and any other details. You can also add their VAT number if you want. You can select their currency so that whenever you create a purchase invoice for this specific supplier, the invoice currency will be changed automatically to the one you have chosen in their profile. You can also enter the supplier's opening balance if you want, enter their email address, and enter any notes, and once you are done, you can click on save. So now we are going to talk about the treasuries and bank accounts in the finance module. You can reach them by going to finance, then treasuries and bank accounts. So the treasuries and bank accounts on Daftra, they are for you to keep a record of what comes in and out of your actual treasury or bank account, and it doesn't link to your actual treasury or bank account in real life. When you first create your Daftra account, you will find that there is a main treasury that's going to be added by default, and all of the transactions will be registered on it automatically. You can add more treasuries or bank accounts by clicking on the add button and choose to add either of them. So we are adding a new treasury. You can give the treasury a name, a description, and you can also set up the permissions for who can deposit or withdraw from this treasury or bank account. So you can either set it up as a staff member, a specific staff member, a specific staff role, or specific branches that who can deposit or withdraw from this specific treasury or bank account. Once you are done, you can click on save. You can also view all of the transactions that happen on a specific treasury or bank account by viewing it. So you'll be able to see all of the transactions that occurred on that specific treasury or bank account. I will show you the primary one because it's the one that has a lot of transactions. So you will be able to see all of the transactions in here. And you can also transfer money from one treasury or bank account to another by clicking on this button. You can select the from and to treasury, choose the exchange currency if you want, enter the transfer date and enter any notes, then click on transfer to transfer money amount from one treasury to another. You can also change the primary treasury by clicking on the three dots next to it and then clicking on mark as primary next to the treasury or bank account you want. Another thing regarding this feature is linking it to a payment gateway, and you can do this by going to settings, then payment options. So in this page, you can activate or deactivate the payment options that you think you will need to use. So there are some online payment options like PayTaps, PayPal, and Stripe. These are online payment gateways that can link to your Stripe or PayPal account, for example, and your clients can make the payments to this online payment gateway, and then you can withdraw it from your online payment gateway account to your actual treasury or bank account. So let's say that we want to link our Stripe account to our Daftra account, so you can connect it from here. And in case you would like to direct all the payments that happen from Stripe to a specific treasury or bank account, then you can select it from here. You can also choose to calculate the payment fees and enter it as a fixed amount or a percentage from the total amount of the invoice, and enter a minimum amount as well. You can also add a custom payment method by clicking on add new payment method. You can name it. You can enter the instructions that you would like to appear to your client whenever they select this payment gateway to pay through. So you can let your client, for example, how they are going to make the payment or any other details that you think they would need to know. You can also set up a treasury or bank account for that specific payment gateway. And you can also calculate the payment fees. So This is in regards to the payment options and treasuries and bank accounts. So now we are going to talk about another very important module in terms of the looks of your invoices and how you would like it to be viewed to your clients. You can change this and set this up as you want by going to templates, then printable templates, invoice estimate layouts. So if you don't have a default layout that's created by the system, usually the thermal invoice layout will be added by default. I'm going to show you how you can add a new one. So you can click on new layout. So there are a lot of designs that are pre-customized. The differences between them are in terms of the logo location, logo position, and some of the templates are available in English only, some of them are in Arabic only, and there is one template available in both languages. You will find that the title and the label names are translated in both Arabic and English. So I'm going to choose this template as an example. So as you can see, there are a lot of tabs, and we are going to start one by one. So here's the title tab, for example. This is where you can control the invoice title name that's going to show up to your clients. So if you would like it to say simplified tax invoice, you can type it in here. You can also add the estimate title in case you are creating estimates, credit note title, refund receipt title, etc. And once you are done, make sure to click on Save to save the changes. In the Business Info tab, you can add your business details, your company details. These are placeholders for the info that will be recalled from the info of your business that you have entered in your account settings. So whenever you change the business name from the account settings, it's going to change up in here and it will be added to your invoices. And you can also add more information if you want, like if you would like to add the business telephone number to the invoices, you can enter the business telephone number placeholder and change the position of it also if you want. You can type in any wordings next to it. So it will look like this. You can also change the format using these tools. And once you are done, you can click on Save. You can also add your logo to your invoices from here and change its size and dimensions, like the height and width, etc. You can also add another logo, which is different from the site logo that you have entered previously, if you want, and then you can click on Save. In the client info section, you can control the client data that you would like to be viewed in here. So whenever you select a client when you are creating your invoices, if they have a business name or an organization name, is going to show up on the first line, then the client's first and last name, etc. You can also add a placeholder for the client's VAT number. You can look for the placeholders in this menu, or you can click on Full Variables Guide to view all of the placeholders that are available on the system. So in the client section, you will see that there is a placeholder for the VAT number. You can copy it by clicking on this icon. Then you can paste it in here. And you can also add any wordings before it if you want. So just note that any information that you add in here, it needs to have a corresponding information in the client's profile that you're going to choose when you're creating your invoices. So if you add a placeholder for the client's VAT number, but you select a client that doesn't have a VAT number when you create an invoice, it's not going to view anything on here. There are also a lot of other placeholders that you can use. So in this page, you can view all of the placeholders available, and you can add them anywhere. It doesn't have to be in the client info section. This is also the shipping information, and you still can change the information you would like to view in here from this menu. Then after you finish each section, just make sure to click on Save to save the changes. You can also add extra custom fields by clicking on Add More Fields. So if you would like to add the work order number or the purchase order number or whatever other details you want, you can click here. I just want to let you know that if in case you have added any products custom fields, for example, or clients custom fields, you will be able to add them in this menu. So this is a placeholder for the work order number in case you have created an invoice from a work order. And these are, you can also add a new custom fields from your choice to add any information you want on it when you're creating your invoices, and it will show up on here beneath the invoice date. These are the label names. You can change them if you want in case there are any other wordings you think will be more clear to your clients. You can change the general wordings. This is very useful in case you would like to use another language apart from Arabic and English. So if you would like to translate the wordings into Chinese, for example, you can type them next to them. Also for the estimates, credit notes, etc. And once you are done, you can click on Save. You can also add any notes in the invoice notes. A lot of our clients, they add the cool-off period policy, terms and conditions, and some of our clients also like to add their bank details so that the clients can make payments to it, so that it will show up whenever you use this template for creating invoices, so that you don't need to enter it each time. You can also add any information you want in the header and the footer. And in the item columns, you can add more columns if you want, apart from the item description, unit price, etc. You can enter a column for the product image or the product code. You can also add an auto serial if you want. And this is just in case you would like to change the overall style of the template. So these options are also in regards to the showing payment amount, balance due, don't show the currency symbol and the items list. These are just customizations that you can do as you wish. You can also show the quantity before the unit price or vice versa. You can give the template a name and you can set it as default if you want. And once you are done, you can save it. So with that being done, the template will be saved on your templates, and if it's set as default, it will be applied automatically to any invoices that you create. Or if it wasn't set as default, you can choose it from this menu when you are creating your invoices. So now we are going to talk about the inventory module on Daftra. We're going to talk about the warehouses first. So you can do this by going to inventory, then warehouses. There will be one primary warehouse when you create your account by default, and you can add another warehouse by clicking on New Warehouse. So you can add the warehouse name, the shipping address. You can also set it up as primary if you want. And you can also set up the warehouse permissions, who can view it, if it's specific staff members, specific rules, or specific branches, and also for creating invoices and updating the stock. Once you are done, you can click on Save. And the other thing we are going to talk about in the inventory module is some of the inventory settings. You can go to inventory, inventory settings, then general. So one of the modules that we are going to talk about here is the requisitions module. This module will let the system not update the stock for purchase invoices and sales invoices unless you confirm the inbound or outbound requisition for each of them. So let's say, for example, that you have enabled the requisitions and you have an item called item X in your inventory, and there are 5 items available of that item. So if you create a sales invoice for one item only, a quantity of 1 out of item X, and then create the sales invoice, the stock will still be 5 until you confirm the outbound requisition for the one item that you have sold of product X. This goes also for purchase invoices. But if you want the stock to be updated instantly just after you create the sales invoice or the purchase invoice, you can deactivate the requisitions. Another feature that we will talk about in more details is the multiple unit system. And we will also talk about tracking the stock using the serial lot number or expiry date. Once we are done updating our inventory settings, we can click on Save. So now we are going to talk about the product settings. As you can see, here is the unit templates that we just activated from the inventory settings, and the categories, barcode settings, and custom fields. So let's go for the categories. For example, you can create more than one category for your product. So let's say that you are running a shoe shop or something like this. You can categorize your items like men's shoes, women's shoes, and other things like that. You can also enter a child category under a parent category by you can just create the parent category first, and then when you are creating the child category, you can select the parent category from this menu. You can also enter a picture for it if you want, and it will be very useful in case you are using the shopfront module, because it will show the categories images to your clients online. When they click on it, they will find the products that are listed under this category. So let's continue talking about the product settings. The barcode settings is very useful in case you are using an electronic scale. Like most of our clients who are running like jewels and diamonds and gold shops, things like that. It's very useful in case you are weighting your the gold or the diamonds or whatever. So you can set up the barcode settings from here. You can also add some unit templates. You can click on add new template to add a new one. So in this field, you can enter the base unit name. To help you understand this, we will take the weight as an example. The base unit name is the small unit that the unit name consists of. So the 1 kilogram is the unit name, and the base unit name is the gram, and this is just a short name for the gram and a short name for the kilogram. And in here in the factor, you can enter how much or how many out of the base unit consists the bigger unit name. So let's say, for example, that you are selling Kit Kat boxes, and each box contains 15 Kit Kat pieces. So you can enter the small unit name in here, and this is just a shortcut for it. The unit name is box, and in here you can say that the box consists of I think we said 15 or something, 15 pieces, and this is a shortcut for the bigger unit name. You can enter the template name as box pieces, whatever you want, and then you can click on save. So with that being done, we have just entered it as a unit template in our system. You can also enter the product's custom fields in here, just like you did in the clients. So now, after we have seen how we can create our products, we are going to talk about the requisitions feature in the inventory. You can go to it by going to inventory, then manage requisitions, if you have activated the feature in your inventory settings, as we have mentioned earlier. So if you go to the requisitions page, you will find an add button, and you can add either an inbound requisition, which is adding stock to your inventory, or you can add a manual outbound, which is taking stock out of your inventory, or you can add a manual transfer, which is transferring the stock between your warehouses. So right now we have created these two products. This product has the tracking type as a serial number, and this product has a unit template set up on its profile using the box and pieces unit templates that we have created earlier. So if we click on add manual inbound, now we want to add some stock to these items because they are out of stock at the moment. So we can select the from warehouse. So this determines which warehouse this amounts are going to. Then we are going to add the product in here. So this product code is 3. And this product code is 4. As you can see, in the product that has a unit template, you can choose the quantity as either by piece or by box. So we can say, if you have entered a unit price in the product's profile when you were creating it, it will be filled in here automatically, and you still can change it if you want. So we are going to say that we want to buy 10 boxes out of this product. And in the serial number, we will say that we want to purchase 2 items. And then we are going to click on confirm to add the quantity. We can add any notes we want as well. You can also copy and paste these items from an Excel sheet to save your time. If you already have the item code, name, quantity, and unit price in an Excel file, you can copy and paste it in here to avoid like adding the items manually. But they need to be registered on your inventory first. After we are done, we are going to click on confirm. So now we have got an error message. It says that the number of serial numbers must be equal to the entered quantity for the product. So if you have a product that has a tracking type as a serial number, lot number, or expiry date, you would need to enter the values and it needs to be equal to the quantity that you have entered. So if we are saying that we are adding 2 items out of this product, we need to add 2 serial numbers for each item. So I'm just going to add any serial numbers. You can just type in the number on your keyboard, click on enter so that it will be entered, and you can enter the next one. And after you are done, you can click on enter as well. Then you can click on confirm. So now we have added this requisition successfully and confirmed it. And now if we refresh this page, we will be able to see that 2 items have been added to the product with the serial number, and 150 items have been added to the product with the unit template. So this is in case you would like to add the requisitions and inbound requisition. It's very similar for the outbound requisition. The only difference is that the outbound requisition will deduct items out of your inventory and not add to it. In regards to the manual transfer, it's in case you would like to transfer a stock from one warehouse to another. So you can choose the from and to warehouses from here. And you can also enter the items here, just like we did in the inbound requisition. And you also have the option of copying and pasting them from an Excel sheet if you have the item code and name and quantity in an Excel file. You can also view all of the transactions that occurred on a specific product by opening the product's profile from your products and services page. So if we want to know all of the transactions that happened on this product or this product, we can click on the 3 dots, click on view, and then we can go to the stock transactions tab. So we will be able to see the serial number for each item that's been added, the date, and how it's been added, if it's like a manual inbound requisition or if it's been a purchase invoice. There's another thing. In case you are doing manual transfer and you are transferring stock for one item between the warehouses that you have, So let's say that in the warehouse number one, in the primary warehouse you have 2 items, and in the other warehouse you have 3. It will show up on here. So it will say that the primary has 2, and the whatever other warehouse has whatever number of items. So everything will be viewed in this page. So now we are going to talk about the accounting module. In the accounting module, a very 2 important features are the cost centers and the chart of accounts. You can go to the cost centers by going to accounting, then cost centers. You can add a new cost center by clicking on add cost center. So you can add the cost center name. The code is going to be sequential, and you still can change it if you want. In case you would like this cost center to be a child cost center for another parent one, you can select the parent cost center name from here. Or if in case you would like to add it as a parent, you can check this box, then click on save. So this is in regards to adding your cost centers. You can also view some reports about the cost centers from this menu. And in regards to the chart of accounts, so you can, these are the available accounts already, except for this one, I just created it. And all the transactions that happen on Daftra, they will generate automated journal entries. So you don't need to create a manual journal entry for each transaction that you do, but you still can create a manual journal entry if you want. But any other transaction that you do, like the income, if you're adding an income, for example, from the finance module, it will be directed to the other income account automatically. And in case you have selected a treasury or bank account, the amount will be added to the treasury or the bank account. So let's get back to the chart of accounts. You still can add accounts to the chart of accounts. You can add either a sub account or a main account. Enter the account name, and in case if it's a sub account, you would need to select the main account from here. Choose if it's credit or debit, and then click on save to add it on your chart of accounts. So another thing that you can do, let's open the expenses account, for example. In case you have any account that you would like to assign a cost center to, so that all of the transactions that happen on this account will be assigned automatically to a specific cost center, you can click on the 3 dots next to the account name, then click on assign cost centers. You can select the cost center name from this menu, add the percentage, and then click on auto, so that any transaction that happen on this account will be assigned automatically to the cost center that you have added it in this page. So now, after we have almost finished setting up our Daftra account, we can start now doing our business transactions like creating invoices, work orders, etc. We are going to talk briefly about the sales module. We can go to sales, then sales setting to set up our sales settings before we start creating invoices. Then we can go to general invoice estimate settings. I will talk about some of the most important settings in the invoice estimate settings, like the invoicing method. You can either choose if it's print, hard copy only, electronically via email only, or both. So you're just giving yourself the option of either choosing any of them when you are issuing your invoices. There is also an option of adding a discount only for the total amount of the invoice, or only per item, or you can add both. So you can add discount per item or on the total amount of the invoice, whatever you want. Another very important thing is the option of automatic payments for invoices if the client has available credit. If you have activated this option and you have created an invoice, an unpaid invoice for a client that has a credit amount that covers a part or the whole amount of the invoice will be paid automatically without you needing to add a payment to it. But if you deactivate the option, you would need to enter the payment manually, even if the client has available credit. So once you are done setting up your sales settings, you can click on save. So now, after we finish setting up our sales settings, we can start creating our invoices. You can create an invoice by going to sales, create invoice. So you can select the invoicing method if you have added the option of choosing more than one. You can select one of the clients that you have created previously. You can also select the invoice currency. And in case you have selected a currency for that client in their profile, it will be changed in here automatically. You can then start adding your items. I'm going to add one of the items with the serial number and another one with the unit template. So in case you have added a price for them in their profile, it will be filled in automatically. And by the way, there is an option in the sales settings that will disable editing the unit price. You can go to it and disable it if you don't want to have the option of editing the unit price when you are creating your invoices. You can also enter the quantity. We're going to add 2 in here, and you can choose the quantity if it's by piece or by box for this item. If you have added a tax in the product's profile, it will be filled in here automatically, so you don't need to add it again. And it will be applied to the item's total. In case you have enabled the item discount, you can add the discount in here, and you can choose if it's an amount or a percentage. You can also copy and paste the items from an Excel sheet. If you go down a little bit, you will find the discount and adjustment option. So this is the total discount that will be applied to the total amount of the invoice. You can also add it as a percentage or as an amount. You can enter any adjustment if you want and name it. So it can be positive or negative value. So let's say this is a test adjustment, and it takes off 5, an amount of 5 from the invoice. So I'm just going to type it in here, and as you can see, it will be added in here with the name that you have entered. In regards to the deposit, this is in case your client has paid you a deposit. You can enter it as a percentage or as an amount. And if it's already paid, you can check the already paid box, select the treasury or the bank account it's going to. And in case you have assigned a treasury or a bank account for a specific payment method, when you select the payment method, the treasury or bank account will be changed automatically to the one you have set up on the payment methods profile. You can enter the payment reference number if you want. You can also enter the shipping details and choose the warehouse that these products are being issued from. You can also choose the option of select warehouse per item. You'll find it in here. You can enter the shipping fields, shipping fees. You can attach any documents if you want, and you can enter any notes. And in case you are using an invoice template that has already subnotes on it, it will be filled in automatically. You can also take the invoice as already paid if the client has already made the payment. Now we are going to save the invoice. You can also preview it or save it as a draft. So if you click on the preview button, it will show you how the final invoice is going to look like. This is in case you just want to see how it will look like before you actually issue the invoice. So after you are done, you can click on save or save and send email if the client has an email address on their profile. So now, as you can see, this invoice is labeled as partially paid and is labeled as under delivery. It's partially paid because we have added a down payment that is 10 Saudi riyals. It's not the total amount. So it says it's partially paid, and it says that it's under delivery because we have activated the requisitions management feature. So we would need to confirm the requisition first in order for the stock to be updated. You can confirm the requisition for that invoice by 2 ways. You can either open it from your Manage Invoices page, just view it. Sales Manage Invoices, then you can view the invoice and go to the Requisitions tab so that you will see the requisitions related to that invoice. Or you can find the requisition by going to Inventory, then Manage Requisitions. and you will be able to find the requisition in here as well. So now if we go to it from the invoice page, we can confirm it by clicking on confirm, or you can also edit it if you would like to record a partial delivery of the items. So now I'm just going to try to confirm it without adding the serial number. And as you can see, it will give me the same error message that we got earlier when we tried to add some serial number items without adding the serial numbers. So it will direct you automatically to the requisition editing page where you can enter the serial numbers. You can select them from a drop-down menu if you have added them previously, as we did in the inbound requisition before. And once we are done, we can click on confirm. So with that being done, the requisition is accepted. You will find in the requisitions page that it's accepted, and the product amount, the stock amount should be deducted for these two items. Now, if we go to the Manage Invoices page, we will find that this invoice is labeled as received, and it's still labeled as partially paid. If your client comes in and makes the remaining payments, you can add a payment to the invoice by clicking on the Add Payment button. This one. So you can choose the payment method, the amount, enter any receipt information in the attachments if you want, and then click on Add Payment. And with that being done, the invoice will be marked as paid and as received. You will be able to see all of your invoices statuses in the Manage Invoices page. So this invoice is labeled as unpaid and as under delivery, and you can choose you can use the filtering options to view only unpaid invoices, partially paid, or whatever, so that the system will view to you only the unpaid invoices, for example, if you need to view all of them together. You can also assign a cost center for any invoice by viewing the invoice, and then you can click on Assign Cost Centers. You can select the cost center from here, enter the percentage or the amount, and then save it. Another very important thing, especially for our clients in Saudi Arabia, because of the Zakat Authority regulations forbidding to delete an invoice or edit it. Let's say that you have created an invoice and you have added something by mistake, or your client, they said that they didn't like the format or whatever reason that will make you need to change something on the invoice. In this case, if you have activated the KSA electronic invoice, you can create a refund receipt for the invoice. You can view the invoice, then click on Create Refund Receipt. So by default, it will add to you all of the original invoice items and quantities, and once you are done, you can just save it. So with that being done, the original invoice will still be there on your account as a record for any Zatka inspections, and it will also be marked as refunded so that it will not have any value on your sales reports, and it will be just there as a record that it happened, but it will not affect anything on your sales reports. So just one last important thing in regards to the refund receipts. When you are creating a refund receipt for an invoice, there is an option of marking the refund receipt as the total amount of the returned items has been refunded to the client or not. So if you have ticked this option, the system will generate an automated transaction for adding the payment back to the client's profile. We are just going to save the refund receipt now. So let's go to the client's profile to see the transaction list and the statement on their profile. This is the business client. You can open their profile by clicking on their name from the invoice, or you can just open it from the Manage Clients page. Now, if you go to the transaction list, or the transaction list can be, you can choose the date range for it, but if you want to view the statement for all the transactions that happened on the client's account, you can click on statement. So as you can see, this is the invoice that we have created. This is a transaction for it. Then this is a transaction for the partial payment or the deposit payment we have added. Then there is the other remaining payment. Then there is a refund receipt of the full invoice amount. And then there is a payment from us to the client. So now the client balance is 0. You can edit the format or the header and the footer of the statement by clicking on this gear sign. So you can add something in the header and in the footer. You can also use any of the placeholders if you want, and choose any of use the formatting tools and add any pictures. And you can also print the statement or email it to your client directly, or save it as PDF if you want. So now we are going to talk about a very important module, and it's used by most of our clients who have like cashier devices in their shops, and it's the POS module. The POS module is very useful in case you are using cashier devices, because it will provide you with a sales screen that's very easy to use when you are dealing with a cashier machine. So we will start explaining the POS module by explaining the POS settings. You can go to General. So in the default client, most of the accounts will have something called POS client, and it will be selected automatically whenever you create invoices using the POS module. So that because most of the POS clients are like walk-in clients, they are not actually registered clients that you are dealing with them constantly, but you still can add the client name and when you are creating invoices, just like when you are creating an invoice from the sales module. The default layout is the default invoice template that you would like to be applied whenever you create invoices from the POS module. And it's very important that we use a thermal invoice or a thermal invoice friendly layout. So you can go to templates, then printable templates. In the invoice estimate layouts, there is an invoice layout called POS receipt or receipt POS. So you can just create it by saving it. And then in the POS settings, you can set it as the default template so that when you use a thermal printer to print your invoices, it will show up in the right way. These are the enabled payment gateways for the POS module, and they will be recalled from the payment options that you have activated in your settings. You can also choose the default payment method. The allowed categories are for your product. Most of our clients, they just allow all of the categories, but you still can allow all except one specific category, or include only one category if you want, so that your salesmen, when they are using the POS module, they will not be able to use the other categories. These are some options that you can use also, like enabling the number pad. It will look like a calculator, show the product image or not. The accounting system per invoice is very important in case you are selling via POS products that have a tracking type as serial number, lot number, or expiry date, because the items quantity are not going to update if they are tracked by serial number, lot number, or expiry date unless you activate this option. You can also allow or disallow the option of adding partial payments to your POS invoices. You can also enable the auto adjustment or not, and you can choose the profit account and loss account. And once you are done, you can click on save. So one of the questions that we get a lot regarding the POS is, can we open 2 POS sessions at the same time? The answer is yes. And this is as long as you have more than one POS device. So each session can be linked to one open each device can be linked to one open session only. So in case you would like to open more than one session at the same time, you can add another POS device, and each open session can be opened to one device only. So this is in regards to the POS general settings. So now after we have finished setting up our POS settings, we can start creating the POS sessions by going to POS sessions. In case you are dealing with one device, you would need to close any sessions first before you open a new one. So I'm just going to close this one really quick, and then we can click on new session. You can select the POS shift. In case you have more than one shift, you can add them from your POS settings and then select from them when you are creating the session from here. You can also select the POS device and then click on confirm. You will then be directed to the sales screen, and you will be able to select the client name. By default will be the POS client, and you still can choose any other client if you want. You can also add your products or items from here. You can search for them or you can add them by clicking on them. So in case the product has a unit template, it will show up on here and you can choose it. You can also add a discount as an amount or as a percentage. You can add any shipping fees. And you can also change the unit price from here. Once you are done, you can click on payment. So you can enter the amount that your client has paid in this field. Just going to change the invoice price. And then we are going to add a payment of the same amount. In case you have enabled more than one payment method, you will be able to select it from here. And once you are done, you can click on confirm. So now we have just created an invoice on that POS session. Now if we go back to the POS page, POS sessions, we will find that there is an open session in here. Just going to go back on the same account. So this is the open session for the invoice that we just created. You can add more than one invoice, like all of the invoices will show up on here, and you can go back to the sales screen by clicking on sales screen. So as you can see, this invoice is paid. And there is another important thing about the POS created invoices. As long as the session is opened and not validated, the stock is not going to be updated. And it has nothing to do with the requisitions being activated or not. Even if you have disabled the requisitions, the stock is not going to be updated unless you close the session and validate it. So let's say that you just created all of the invoices for that session and you want to close it. So you can close it from outside as we just viewed by clicking on the three dots, then clicking on close, or you can close it from inside the session. You can also go back to the sales screen to create more invoices by clicking on this button. So we are going to close the session now. So the session has been closed successfully, but it's not going to update the stock unless you validate it as well. You can validate it by clicking on confirm. So it will give you a column asking you for the counted amount. So your staff member can, by the end of the day, enter the counted amount to see if there is any overage or decreasing in the amount that they have received. Any difference. So in case they have received the full amount, they can just enter it and then click on confirm. So with that being done, the session is now closed and validated, and the stock will be updated automatically. But in case you have enabled the requisitions, you will also need to confirm the requisitions for the invoices you have created, either by viewing the invoice or by going to the requisitions and you will find the requisitions related to the POS invoices you have created. So now we have generally finished talking about the POS sales module and the sales module as well. Now we are going to talk briefly about the purchases module. So the purchases module, it can be used to buy products from your supplier. We are going to go to purchase invoices, and it's very similar to creating an invoice from the sales module. The only difference is that in this case, we are purchasing products from the supplier and paying money to them instead of receiving money from our clients. So you can click on New Purchase Invoice, select the supplier name that you have entered previously. You can also change the currency, or in case you have added a currency for your supplier on their profile, it will be changed to this one here automatically. You can also add the products that are already added in your inventory. You can also paste them from an Excel sheet if you have the item code, name, quantity, and unit price columns in an Excel sheet. So you can also add a discount or a deposit in case you have already paid an amount to the supplier. You can also enter the shipping fees and attach any documents you want. And you can also use a purchase invoice layout, and it can be also added from the templates, from the purchase invoice templates. You can also take the option of already paid to supplier in case you have already paid the amount to the supplier, and enter the payment reference number. So it looks a lot like the invoices, except that it's reversal. You are paying money to the supplier, and the supplier also will have a statement for them, just like the client, that you will be able to see all of the transactions that happen to that supplier. So this is in general the purchases module, and it also has requisitions attached to it in case you have activated the requisitions module. So you will be able to find them also in the Manage Requisitions page. And you can filter by the outbound requisitions only or the purchase invoices requisitions in case you want to view only the requisitions for the purchase invoices. So this is in general everything about the purchases module. Now we are going to talk about the work orders module on Daftra. So you can create a work order by going to work orders, then click on add work order. You can add the work order title if it's like a project that you are doing for a client or a task that the client has asked you to do. So you can enter the work order title in here in case you are painting a villa or something, depending on your type of business. So the work order number is sequential and you still can change it. You can also set up the start and finishing and the expected finishing date for the project. So let's say that I'm expecting to finish this project by the end of the next month. I will add it in here. You can add any description if you want, and you can select the client you are doing this project for. You can enter the work order tags, and you can set up a budget and choose the currency. And you can also assign it to one of your staff members if you have staff members added on your account. Once you are done, you can click on Save. So now we have just created the work order successfully, and you will find it in the work orders page. You can then view it if you want to see the overall information. And now we can start adding things to it, like you can add an invoice, estimate, credit notes, expense, etc. You can add a lot of things to a work order. So all of them will show up on the work order page. And you can also show your work orders profit and loss reports by clicking on this icon in here. You will be directed to the reports page, and you can select the client, the work order, and add it by which staff members. And once you are done, you can click on Show Report, and it will show you the profit and loss report for that work order or other work orders depending on the filters you have chosen. So now, after we have finished talking about the work orders module, we will talk in general about the finance module. The finance module is where you can add incomes and expenses. So if you want to add an income, for example, you can go to Finance then Incomes. You can also import your previous incomes from an Excel sheet by clicking on the import button. So this is how it's going to look like after you add it. Let's add a new income as an example. So in the amount, you can enter the income amount. You can also select the income currency from this field. You can enter a description and attach an image of a receipt if you want. Enter the expense date, and also enter the received by and the expense category. You can add them from the finance settings, and then you can choose from them when you are creating the expenses. This is also very important in regards to the treasury, because if you want to direct this income to a specific treasury or bank account, you can select it from this field. You can also direct it to specific journal entry, but you don't have to do this, because if you didn't select it, it will be directed automatically to the other incomes account. You can also add taxes if you want. And in case it's a recurring income, you can take the recurring box and choose the frequency, if it's weekly, monthly, or whatever frequency it is. You can also select the end date if you want. And in case it's not recurring, you can also assign a cost center to it. And after you are done, you can click on Save to save the income or the expense. So this is in general regarding the incomes and expenses. Another thing that we are going to talk about is the reports. We are going to talk in general because there are way too many reports of the system. You can go to the section that you want to view the reports for, like the sales report. You will find a lot of sales reports, like the sales by staff, sales by client. And in each report, there are some filters that you can use to filter by the date, filter by the status of the payment of the invoice, etc. And there are also some export options to export the report in PDF, Excel, or CSV file. So in each section, you will find a lot of segmented reports and child reports. You can also find your income statement and profit and loss, balance sheet, and other related report in the in the accounting reports section. So this is in regards to the reports module on Daftra, which will be very useful for you to know your profit and loss, your revenue, and other things that you do on your business. There is also another module, which is the branches. In case your business has more than one branch, you can add the branches, and each branch will also, you can create reports for each branch and filter by it when you are creating your reports. You can also add your employees and users from the employees module. And you can, in case you have given them access to the system, which is the main difference between the employees and users, and it's that the users have access to the system, and they have also the permissions and accessibilities they have. It depends on the staff role that you assign to them, which you can edit by going to manage staff roles, and then you can edit the staff role assigned to your user, edit the permissions they have. Like if you don't want them to be able to add expenses, you can just untick the option. There are many permissions and accessibilities that you can give them or not give them. So this is in regards to the employees module as well. Another thing that we can talk about briefly is the custom fields functionality for the products. Let's say, for example, that you are running a spare part business and you would like to add, there is a field that you want to include in the product's profile and it's not already available in Daftra. You can add it from here. Like if you want to add the shelf number or any other field that's not available, you can just add it from here and give it a name, and it will show up on the product's profile when you are creating the product profile. So in this video, we were just talking in general about the main functionalities that Daftra offers. Of course, there are a lot of other functionalities that we didn't cover in this video, and So you can definitely get back to us anytime you have any questions, and we really hope that this will help you in starting using the system. So at the end, we thank you very much for your interest in our software, and we wish you all the best with your business. Thank you very much for watching.